It all starts at a cocoa plantation. The cocoa pods are harvested and the beans are dried in the sun. Then the cocoa beans are bought by intermediaries at €1 a kilo. They sell them to national exporters. The beans are then washed, packed and sold. Now the price is €2.50 a kilo. From the stock exchange, the cocoa is sold on to the chocolate companies. The companies turn them into cocoa powder or cocoa butter. The chocolate manufacturers make chocolate. A kilo of cocoa at €1 for the farmer becomes 40 chocolate bars.
Chocolate production is prominent in Africa, with Côte d'Ivoire being the world's largest producer. Côte d'Ivoire produces about 1.3 million tons, which is about 43% of the world's cocoa. Ghana, Indonesia, Nigeria, Brazil, and Cameroon follow Côte d'Ivoire in chocolate production. Cocoa has significant effects on these countries' economies. Consumption of the cocoa produced is done mainly in Europe. According to zchocolate.com, Switzerland consumes 10.5 kilograms per person per year. France consumes 6.8 kilograms per person, and Great Britain consumes 500,000 tons per year. America becomes the second largest consumer by consuming 5.68 kilograms per person per year. In America alone, $13 billion is spent on chocolate every year, with $1 billion of that coming from Valentine's Day. However, this consumption comes at a cost. An estimated number of children being trafficked and forced into labor on the cocoa farms is 15,000. Why? Côte d'Ivoire's want of profit and exports, the poverty of the area, and the culture all are influenced. Congress has passed laws that production companies have signed. These laws are to prevent the trafficking of children and child labor. However, nothing has been done in order to oblige by the laws.
Although human trafficking has been declared illegal by the United Nations and by the majority of the world, this crime continues to occur on a daily basis. There is estimated to be over 200,000 child laborers in the Côte d'Ivoire alone, with this number being much higher for the children working in the entire West African region. Of these numbers, it is estimated that just over 15,000 of these children are victims of slavery and human trafficking. The age of these children is estimated to range around 12 to 16. Many of the children that are used as slaves and laborers in the cocoa farms are in fact not from Côte d'Ivoire but from neighboring countries. Usually the slave traders visit the poor areas of a country and then lure the children into coming with him to work in Côte d'Ivoire with promises of decent pay or gifts. Except when the children fall for the tricks and follow the trafficker back to the Côte d'Ivoire, the slave trafficker ends up selling the children to a farmer who is in need of cheap labor. Once on the farm, children are forced to work over 12 hours a day in the fields and fed only scrap food once a day. They must carry heavy bags full of cocoa that are sometimes larger than the child himself. And if the child, from exhaustion, decides to rest at any time, they receive a beating for not working hard enough. Then at night, they are herded into small rooms and locked inside to sleep. The children go through all of this for nothing. They are tricked into slavery with promises of large sums of money and rewards, but instead they are treated worse than farm animals. Once the children leave, they not only leave as poor as they came, but also mentally scarred. Much of the cause of child slavery is due to the fact that West Africa relies on the trade of cocoa to sustain themselves, especially Côte d'Ivoire, due to the fact that their economies are very fragile and also because many of the countries suffer from rampant poverty.
So you might be starting to wonder at this point, how could any resemblance of slavery still exist in modern times? According to Ms. Chata Vong, looking at a case study on child labor in the Côte d'Ivoire, for most of its history, Côte d'Ivoire has relied extensively upon selling capital exports around the world in order to support their developing economy. Cocoa as well as coffee farms could be found around the country as early as the 1920s. By the 1970s, however, coffee production was put on hold in order to focus attention on garnering cocoa, which at the time was rising dramatically in profit-making potential. Since this time, Many farmers have and still do rely entirely on the harvest of cocoa in order to make a living for themselves. Unfortunately, the potential for profit on cocoa is risky. According to Sarah Chase on chocolatework.com, cocoa is traditionally a very unstable good that can rapidly change in price. This instability of cocoa can be seen when cocoa prices decreased from 64 to 51 cents per pound between 1996 and 2001. This decrease in price means that dependent farmers didn't make as much money and as a result look towards cheap slave labor in order to compensate for their poor income. Another factor leading to slavery in the production of chocolate is the poverty and lack of money present in the countries from which children are trafficked. Many of the trafficked kids to the Côte d'Ivoire originate from next-door Mali, which is an extremely poor country. Since most citizens in Mali have a tough time finding opportunities to make money in their own country, they will often travel to a location where they are able to make money so they can help support their families back home. Traffickers will lure children who want to make money for their families and take them across the border to cocoa farms. A third and final cause that fuels the trafficking of children across the border to Côte d'Ivoire is culture. Many Ivorian children help their parents on their cocoa farms or with any work in general. Actually, in all of Africa, it is not an uncommon sight to see children working in order to help support their families. This culture of child labor makes Ivorian farmers think that it's okay to bring in children workers from across the border to do the work for them even though the act is truly illegal. In more recent years, politicians have been addressing the issue of child slavery in hopes of one day ending it.
Slave labor was not used in the production of their chocolate. The U.S. chocolate industry responded with an intense lobbying effort to ward off legislation that would require slave-free labels on their products. They maintained that a slave-free label would hurt the people in West Africa by leading to a boycott of all West African cocoa, and therefore not contribute to the abolition of slavery in that part of the world. The chocolate companies maintained that they were not responsible for the slavery in Africa because they have no control over the cocoa farms. After media articles and with imminent federal regulation looming, the chocolate industry finally agreed to take action in 2001. In November 2001, the U.S. chocolate industry released a protocol and joint statement outlining their plans to work toward eliminating child labor and forced labor in the cocoa-producing countries, particularly West Africa. Aimed for the worst forms of child labor to be eliminated by 2005. It was signed by the Chocolate Manufacturers Association, which included the World Cocoa Foundation, Hershey's, M&M Mars, Nestle, and the World's Finest Chocolate. The protocol was then endorsed by the Côte d'Ivoire government, the Child Labor Office of the International Labor Organization, Free the Slaves, the Child Labor Coalition, the International Cocoa Organization, and the National Consumer League.